Hello, I'm Mike, and this is Will. We are the Tabletop Donkeys.
Hello.
And we're bringing you issue 42 of Warhammer Age of Sigmar Mortal Arms magazine today. In this issue, we got 2 new paints, a pot of Calgar Blue and a pot of Pallid Witchflesh layer paint, as well as a small layer brush. If you want to skip straight to the battle plan for this issue, there'll be a time code in the description, or you can use the chapter bars. But as we head into the issue now, first up we have some backstory on Shamon, or Chamon, or how you pronounce it, the Realm of Metal. It talks about how the landscape is ever shifting, and some of the mortal inhabitants include the Caradron overlords. Fair number of them make their home in Shamon. It's also coveted by Tzeentch, and how towards the edge of the realm, the shifting lands, they're shifting to the point of madness, and you can't really understand how they work. And on the next page it goes over some of the Caradron skyports. It talks about Elixir, which once housed Golmaraz, as well as the people of Shamon. There is some more backstory on the Prime Innerlands, where it talks about the wizards, the Cataphrines that inhabited Shadespire before Nagash got hold of them. Talks about Nurgle's invasion of Shyish, and here you see Nagash fighting the forces of Chaos. There's some more of the Orc clans. Here we have the Bone Splitters, the Savage Orcs, who have these mad prophets who worship the Orc gods and channel the power of the War. There's a fair lot of painting to get through. Now we've got a small layer brush, which is useful for highlighting. So here it talks about relayering. So it's essentially going back over the raised areas of models that have been shaded and reapplying the base colour to differentiate it from the shaded parts. So you're going over all of the cloth with Rakoth Flesh for the Stormcast, and then Cantal Blue for their blue robes, and the blue robes they tell you to paint the Nighthaunt. It uses the Glade Wraith Stalkers, the easy to build ones here. Then highlighting, this is bringing out, using lighter colours on the edges to exaggerate areas where the light would catch the miniature and just make them stand out. Makes the models look a bit more 3D. So you can hear using the Calgar Blue on the Cantal Blue, Pallid Witchflesh on the Rakoth Flesh. And here it shows a technique, making sure you brace your wrist properly, don't have too much paint on the brush, and you can twist the brush to make sure it has a fine point. It takes a fair bit of time, but it brings out a lot of the detail in the models, so particularly for the Nighthaunt, where you have to go around all of their cloth around the edge. We can see it does bring out these details a lot. With that over, we can get into some new rules and get into our game for this issue.
In a moment we'll get onto our game, but first of all we have a tutorial for command points. Obviously we've been using these for a number of issues now, but this is just a more formal and in-depth tutorial. As it mentions, you gain command points in your hero phase. It also mentions War Scroll battalions, which are special formations of models that give extra benefits, including extra command points, but it also says that there'll be a tutorial for these in a later issue of Mortal Realms. And then some suggestions for keeping track of command points. You could use the markers, which are supplied in this issue, which we'll show in a second, or we could write down on a piece of paper, or as you will have seen in our games, we actually use dice to keep track of command points. And then we've got a quick tutorial on command abilities. Again, we've been using these for a while, but it just goes over the 3 generic command abilities, when to use them and how they work. Then we're on to our game, so there's a bit of fiction here. We've got Battle at the Ark. So, as we mentioned last issue, we've now moved into the Realm of Metal, and there's a section here called the Sigyorn, which is near the heart of the Realm of Metal and the lands of the Spiral Crux. In this area is a ruined Stormvault, which is used to contain lots of powerful artifacts, but it was damaged in the Necroquake and it's now been plundered. It's called the Ark. And the story is that, having encountered the Nighthaunt in the previous issue, the Stormcast Eternals tracked them here and found them to be haunting the ruins of the Stormvault, so they decided to clear them out. So on to the battle plan, Purging the Ark. We've got some quite large forces for this game. For the Nighthaunt we've got the Knight of Shrouds on Ethereal Steed, Guardian Souls, Cairn Wraith, the Tomb Banshee, 4 Mimewald Banshees, 5 Dreadside Harridans, 4 Grimgrass Reapers and 15 Chain Rasps. And for the Stormcast, the Lord-Arcanum on Gryph Charger, Knight Azeros, 5 Liberators, 5 Sequitors, Celestar Ballista and 3 Gryph-hounds. And all of this is going to be fitting on one board, which is our new Realm of Metal board, so you can see what it looks like here, but obviously we'll show it in a second, with 6-inch territories at either end, and then 3 objectives placed along the diagonal, 1 in the middle, and the other 2 10 inches from the centre. It specifically mentions the printed terrain, which you'll see on the actual battle map, has no effect in this game. We'll be getting those pieces later. Stormcast Eternals set up a unit first, and then we alternate. Stormcast Eternals get the first turn in the first battle round. The game lasts for 5 battle rounds, and there are victory points scored at the end of each battle round. Firstly, at the end of each battle round, total up the number of wounds characteristics of slain models, and whoever has scored higher, then they score 2 victory points, or if the scores are tied, score 1 victory point each. And the player controlling the most objectives scores 3 victory points at the end of the battle round, or 1 victory point each if they have an equal number. And obviously the one with the highest number of victory points wins. And just to show the command point counters that they give us here, you can cut these out and use them, but as I said, we won't be using these because we tend to use dice to keep track of command points instead. So that's a look at our battle plan. We'll get on to deployment and show you the board. So here is our Realm of Metal board. We've deployed our armies, but as you can see there are the 3 objectives across the centre, and once again printed terrain that you can see. While it does show us where the terrain will go eventually, it doesn't have any effect in this game, so it's just an open battlefield. Having a look at the Stormcast deployment, they had to deploy a unit first, so going from left to right in the picture, we've got the 5 Secretors, the Lord-Arcanum, who will be the General, 5 Liberators, and behind them the Knight Azeroth, and on the right the Celestial Ballista and the 3 Gryph-hounds, and the grey Gryph-hound with the sort of head armour will be the Alpha. And then having a look at the Nighthaunt.
Yes, I'll go left to right as it were. So we've got the 5 Dreadscythe Harridans, and the Tomb Banshee behind, 15 Chainrasps with the Guardian of Souls behind them, the Knight of Shrouds, who will be by General. We've got the Grimghast Reapers with the Cairnwraith and the Mindborn Banshees behind them.
The Stormcast Eternals get turn 1 in battle round 1, so we'll be into the first battle round. So again, command point, and we'll start off with the Mystic Shield, just in case the Nighthaunt get the double turn and manage to charge something. Needing a 6, so that's a 5, so it doesn't go off. And then having a look at my movement, moved up a little bit, but nobody ran or got too far forward because it's a 5 battle round game, so there's no hurry. So the Secretors have moved up and the Lord-Arcanum, the Knight Azeroth has flown over the top of the Liberators, who've also moved up down on the far side. The Ballista will stay where it is because it's actually within 3 inches of the objective there, and also the Gryph-hounds have advanced slightly. So onto the shooting phase, we've just got the Ballista. It's going to fire a single shot at the Guardian of Souls. He does get lookout, sir, but he can't bring himself back if he gets killed or damaged. So 1 shot at this range, hitting on a 4 because of lookout, sir. That's a hit. Turned into D6 hits for 2. These wound on 3s. They do.
4 plus saves to the Guardian of Souls, made on turn 1, down to 4 wounds.
So the Guardian of Souls takes a wound, down to 4. But that will be the end of my turn. On to Nighthaunt turn 1.
So start with my turn in hero phase, I gain a command point, and I'm going to cast Mystic Shield with the Guardian of Souls, or try to. Getting it with a 9.
And may as well try and unbind. Nope, didn't.
And we'll put it on the Dreadscythe Harridans, I think. So in my movement, everyone's just moved up normally. The Harridans have moved up there 8. Potentially, we are going to make try and make a charge later, but it's pretty unlikely to happen. Tomb Banshee's sort of lagging behind a bit, so she's within range of the Chainrasps for lookout, sir, but not so close that she might get blown up by Spirit Flask. Same with the Guardian of Souls. Chainrasps have moved up in the middle. The Knight of Shrouds has moved up into the middle, which is pretty risky, but it does get him close enough to that objective that I'll get a load of victory points for it, so hopefully that will pay off in the end. And then the Grimghast Reapers have moved up, they're 8. The Cairnwraith is following along behind because he's slightly slower, and the Mindborn Banshee is just going to consolidate around that objective. And the Dreadscythe Harridans are going to charge. It's going to need to be a very impressive roll. Like an 11, so that is actually enough to get the Harridans in range of the Gryph-hounds.
They've moved, so they're not bringing the Liberators in.
Yeah, that's going to be it for my charges. Then in the combat phase, I am going to spend a command point to use Lord of Geists on the Harridans, so it gives the 3 fighting an extra attack. So we'll get 13 attacks in all, hitting on 4s for 7 hits, and then wounding on 3s, and 6s are 2 damage. There's 6 damage.
Yep, 2 6s and 2 normals. So that's enough to kill 2 Gryph-hounds, so we will lose this one, but then I'll use the Lord-Arcanum's Cycle of the Storm, because these are Stormcast Eternals models, to keep this one alive on 1 wound. Then they do get to fight back, this one will pile in slightly. We've got 5 attacks, because there's 2 each, and one of them's the Alpha, hitting on 3s. Getting 1, and wounds on a 4. That's a wound.
4 plus save Harridans, re-rolling 1s for Mystic Shield. Nope, so that's a dead Harridan, so I'll take away this one.
And then they won't make their retreat move because it actually keeps the Harridans in combat in case the Knight will get the double turn, because they can't go and charge something else. But they do have to make a battle shock test, having lost 1 model. So on a 6, one of them will run away. Oh, of course. So the wounded one actually does run away. It's not going to matter for the sake of this battle round because the Nighthaunt have already killed more models. And that's the end of the battle round where we total up victory points. So the Nighthaunt have killed more wounds worth. They've killed 6 to the Stormcast 1, and the Nighthaunt also hold the 2 objectives to the Stormcast 1 because the Knight of Shrouds is in range of the middle one. So that's 5 victory points for the Nighthaunt. Well, actually, you should have been re-rolling 1s because the Harridans are within 10 inches of the Knight Azeroth. So re-rolls. Got 1 more hit out of that, which wounds on a 4. That's a wound.
Saves on 4, re-rolling 1s. Oh, 3 again, so that's actually another Harridan dead. I'll take away that one. Ooh.
Yeah, so there are actually only 3 Harridans left, but it doesn't make any difference for the victory points because it's still 6-2 in the Nighthaunt's favour at the end of the battle round. So it's 5 victory points to nothing for the Nighthaunt. We use the D20 to mark those as we head into battle round 2. Rolling off to see who goes first. I rolled a 4.
I rolled a 2.
So we'll definitely be going first. Into my hero phase, again, command point going up to 2, and then we'll do an arcane bolt because we're in range now. Needing a 5, that's 6.
I'll try and unbind it with the Mindborn Banshees, in case they try to get an extra attack. Needing a 7. Yeah, unbind that with a 10, so they get an extra attack.
And then on to movement. The Secretors have moved up, the Lord-Arcanum has moved up as well, and the Knight Azeroth in the centre, making sure lots of things are within his aura of 10 inches to reroll hits against them. And then over here I need to deal with these Harridans so the Liberators will come across, and the Gryph-hound has retreated so that he's not in combat anymore, and also is on that objective now as well. So on to the shooting phase, where the Ballista will shoot the Harridans, and they are within 10 inches of the Knight Azeroth. So we do the multi-shot profile, so we've got 4 shots hitting on 5s, rerolling 1s. Reroll that one for 2 hits. No, not into another hit, but that's 2d6 hits. No, just 5, so these wound on 3s, we've got 3.
4 plus saves for Harridans, rerolling 1s because I've still got Mystic Shield. Reroll that 1. Oh, I haven't been rolling well for saves, it's just the Slasher Crown left.
And then we'll be on to the charge phase. We'll start with the Lord-Arcanum. So he rolls a 12. So he will come right through into here, which looks suicidal, but it means his Spirit Flasks are in range of, the Guardian of Souls, principally, and then also everything else over here, but not the Cairnwraith. We'll do the Secretors next. They roll an 8. So they finish their charge like this into the Grimghast Reapers. Then we'll do the Knight Azeroth. He rolls a 10. So he'll come there, maintaining 3 inches from the Lord-Arcanum. And then finally the Liberators will charge. Yeah, another 12. And they must surround the Dreadside Harridan just to get as many fighting as possible. So on to the start of the fight phase, where we will shatter all 3 Spirit Flasks. So 3 mortal wounds to the Lord-Arcanum and the heroes nearby, and then 3d3 to the Chain Rasps. 3
Banshees, I'll leave the one closest to the... She wasn't quite close contact, and then I'll leave the Extoller, and the Knight of Charge goes down to 3.
So 3d3 for Chain Rasps, getting 7.
So I just took away the ones nearest the Tomb Banshee.
So the Lord-Arcanum himself is down to 4 wounds, and the Guardian of Souls is down to 1. Also at the start of the fight phase, I will spend a command point to give the Secretors both power to weapons and shields. And then I will pick the Lord-Arcanum to fight first, and he's going to strike the Knight of Shrouds with his 2-inch weapon range. And his Gryph Charger is not in range, so he'll put its claw attacks on the Marmor Banshee. So 4 attacks with his Ether Stave on the Knight of Shrouds, hitting on 3s. Only 2 hits. Also wounding on 3s, getting 2 wounds.
4 plus save. Failed both.
2d3 damage, yeah, that's enough. And then the claw attacks on the Banshee, hitting on 3 attacks hitting on 3s, 6s do a mortal wound instead. Only 1 hit, no 6s. Wounds on a 3, that's a wound.
4 plus save. Oh, I made it. So I'm going to pick the Dreadside Harridan to go before she gets pummeled by the Liberators. 4 attacks hitting on 4s, getting 2. And wounding on 3, 6s are 2 damage. Not getting a 1.
So I'll pick the Secretors to fight. So they'll pile in like this, bringing one of the Great Maces into contact with the Cairnwraith. But actually, this Secretor here isn't in range of anyone on the other 3, have to fight the remaining Grimghast Reaper. So we'll do the 1 Great Mace on the Cairnwraith first. 2 attacks hitting on 3s, re-rolling fails because power to weapons, and 6s cause D3 hits. We've got 2 4s, wounding on 3s, getting 1 wound.
Hey, at least he'll live. 4 plus save. Yeah, it failed, so down to 2 wounds.
We'll do the normal maces on the Reaper because there's only 1 of them left, hitting on 3s. We've got 5 attacks, which re-rolling misses. That was a hit, so there's 5 hits. And wounding on 3s, hitting 3.
4 plus saves. Yeah, he's dead as well. I guess I'll pick the Marmor Banshee.
Attacking the Lord-Arcanum.
Yeah. He's got 2 attacks because of the unbinding, hitting on 4s, getting 1. Wounding on 2s because she's within 12 inches of the Guardian of Souls. Wounds, -2 rend.
So 5 plus save. Nope.
D3 damage. 2.
So he's down to 2, and I'll pick the Knight Azeroth to go, because he charged, so he can still be picked. So he can pile in like that into the Chain Rasps. And he has 4 attacks hitting on 3s.
Rerolling 1s.
Oh yeah, rerolling 1s for himself. Nope, still can't help him, he's only got 2 hits. And winning on 3s, getting 1.
5 plus save. Nope.
I realised that actually everything else I was hitting would also be re-rolling 1s, but I don't think it mattered because I didn't roll any 1s to hit the Cairnwraith, and the Lord-Arcanum killed the Knight Shrouds anyway.
Yeah, so the Chain Rasps are going to go next. So these 6 will put their attacks on the Lord-Arcanum, and the last one has to go for the Nighthaunt. 13 attacks on the Lord-Arcanum, hitting on 4s. So it's going to be 8 hits, wounded on 3s, the Guardian of Souls nearby. Oh, 8 wounds, 3 plus save.
So he needs to make at least 7 of these, and he has. He is down to 1 wound.
And you've got the attacks on the Nighthaunt. 1 hit, wounds on 3. It does.
3 plus save. He's alright. I've got the Liberators to go against the remaining Harridan. 11 attacks hitting on 4s. 7. And wounding on 3s. 5.
4 plus saves, roll 1s. Oh, well, I made 3. And the Guardian of Souls will pile into the Lord-Arcanum. 3 attacks with the Guardian of Souls sword, hitting on 3s, getting none. And then the Cairn Wraith can attack the Secretors. 3 attacks hitting on 4s. 6s are 2 mortal wounds. 1 hit. Wounds on a 2. It does.
Ren -1, I believe.
Yeah, -1.
So 5 plus save, re-rolling 1s, 2s and 3s, because they get power to shields and command ability. That's a 5 anyway. So that's the end of the combat phase. There's a battle shock test for the chain rasps necessary. They've lost
8. 1 or a 2 is fine. I got a 5, so I'm going to lose 3. 3.
And then that is the end of Stormcast turn 2, on to Nighthaunt turn 2.
So, start off, gain a command point. Going to try and cast Arcane Bolt with the Guardian of Souls.
Yep.
The only movement is the Tomb Banshee is going to get close to the Lord-Arcanum and just going to scream at him in the shooting phase. Need to roll really high. No. I'm just going to concede at this point because I haven't got any army left.
And, well, victory points for this turn. The Stormcast have killed like most of the Nighthaunt, so they're obviously going to win that, and they control more objectives, and I don't think the Nighthaunt can actually do anything about that. So that would be 5-all at the end of Battle Round 2, but then the Stormcast have 3 more Battle Rounds to mop up the rest of the Nighthaunt and store victory points, so yeah, we can see how the game's going to turn out. So it'll be a Stormcast victory, and we will recap the game for you now. Well, that was the game from issue 42 of Age of Sigmar Mortal Realms. I don't really want to ask you how do you think that went, because I think we know how it went.
Yeah, I left a gap. I had a whole game where I didn't have to worry about Spirit Flasks, and I completely forgot to take them into account.
Yeah, unfortunately just being able to find that place there where I could get in amongst everybody meant the end of your army, and that was that.
Especially when my army's so huge, not really enough space to spread out. I mean, I did make a mistake. I could have just moved the Knight of Shrouds closer towards the board edge. It wouldn't have been that gap.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's just the way it is with that ability.
And, it's a very frustrating ability. I mean, it's you move your model, it's like, right, here it comes. Just sit there and watch it happen. And you can't really stop it. 7 wounds is a lot to deal with at range for the Nighthaunt, it seems. Well, with the Tomb Banshee and Arcane Bolt, not going to kill him.
Yeah, you probably should have killed him. I think you did get a bit unlucky with your attacks against him.
Yeah, it probably would have been academic at that point.
And I got quite lucky with my saves. But yeah, you're right. Look, by that time the damage had been done. He'd already kind of earned his points back, as it were, at that point. The thing I don't like about that ability as well, actually, is that I can very carefully manoeuvre so that all of my units are outside of 3 and I get as many of yours within 3 inches. I don't feel like that's kind of the intended narrative behind that ability. Yeah, I feel like it's like supposed to be a last-ditch thing, but actually it's a very efficient use of that model a lot of the time, especially if I can do what I did.
And the fact that you can do it at the start of the combat phase as well. So even if I charge him, you can still do it.
So it does, unfortunately, I think it does sort of come down to whether you were able to charge or not, because I wouldn't blow him up if he's standing right in the middle of my lines and would do as much damage to my own units, because not only would you be able to pick what units were doing 3 inches of him, but it would damage my own units as well.
I do think that going second when you have objectives is actually a bit of an advantage, because you can react to what your opponent does and they can't do anything about it for that battle round, since we're scoring at the end of the battle round.
Yeah, going first meant that you were able to take 2 objectives. I could have taken that objective in the centre, but then you would have just charged me. So
yeah, you would have left the Knight Azeroth set on his own.
Yeah, whereas you had the opportunity.
Risked the double turn.
And it's all very well having objectives and rolling victory points, but with 5 battle rounds, on a small board with little possibility for manoeuvre, it just comes down to who can do more damage more quickly.
I can't really imagine it would go down to 5 battle rounds. You'd just be so fused up units at the end.
Which isn't to say I think that it's like unbalanced. I just think that in 5 battle rounds, one side will wipe the other out. I think the Nighthaunt do have a chance of winning this, definitely.
Oh yeah, definitely.
If you'd been able to pick your fights, it would have been a lot closer matched, I think. And unfortunately, we're still kind of none the wiser as to the story at this point. I remember saying in issue 40 that we're moving to the realm of metal and hopefully we'll figure out why. But as it is, I think last issue, the Stormcast found some Nighthaunt in the realm of metal. And then in this one, we've got the Nighthaunt desecrating the plundered Stormvault. But why the Stormcast from the realm of life have come here is not clear.
The realm of life plot just sort of ended, I guess. Presumably the Stormcast won in the narrative.
Yeah, well, presumably we'll find that out soon, but... So that'll be it for this video. If you enjoyed it, then please do leave a like and subscribe. Let us know if your experiences with battles, particularly if you get abilities like that, how you feel about them and whether if there are any tactics to avoid them. Leave your thoughts in the comments below. We've been the Tabletop Donkeys and we'll see you in the next one.
Bye for now.